Let's pretend just for a moment. You get a message on your phone. It's from the bank, and it says, a large sum of money will be deposited into your account tax-free if you go into work tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, whatever time you go to work, and quit your job. Question for this video. What's the smallest amount that you can be awarded, given, inherited, lottery, however you get the money? What's the smallest amount that you can be given to make you quit your job and live the way you would like to live for the rest of your life? It's pretty easy to say, oh, 10 million, 100 million, whatever these major lottery winning numbers are. But I like the challenge of what's the smallest amount? Because it will vary from person to person for sure. Your lifestyle, how you spend, obviously your age. If you're 22 years old, you've got a long ways to go to live off a certain amount of money. But the older you are, you still have to think about things like healthcare, how to maintain your life, your lifestyle. As we get older, we live a little more simply, I believe, I hope anyway. But we're going to dig into this and really break it down. It's going to be fun. So let's really break down this theory I've had, I don't know how many years. I bet my buddy and I have been talking about this for, it seems like 20 years. So we have to put together, I don't know, 3 factors of your lifestyle, decisions, choices. I'm not sure exactly how you want to word it, but first is your kind of day-to-day have-tos. So you have to have food, you have to have shelter, a roof over your head, gas, electric, water, maybe even cell phone bill. I don't know that necessarily internet falls into that category, but just think your day-to-day, everyday expenses, even like gas for your car if you drive, or a car payment for that matter. Hopefully you don't have a car payment, but so those are your day-to-days, and you need to have a number for that. So let's just, say it's an arbitrary number of like $2,000 a month. That could be really high, that could be really low. I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody's lifestyle is different. You also throw in your rent or mortgage payment. Now, I know a mortgage payment will supposedly end after 30 years or 15 years or a 10-year loan, whichever kind of loan you get, but you still have your taxes and insurance you have to pay. So from beyond that, you have that base number that you can figure out. That's really easy to do, to learn your day-to-day expenses, or month to month, week to week, that sort of thing. You can figure that number out. The next thing we need to talk about are luxury expenses. So buying the newest cool phone every year it comes out, luxury, don't need it. You don't necessarily have to have the $100,000 car. There's plenty of cheaper ones out there that do the exact same thing, drive the same way. But this is like the kind of money you're using. I always like to think of it to impress others. So you're buying the fancy watches, you're buying the fancy, like I said, computer, newest phone, whatever that falls into that category that is, you don't need it to live or survive. Another one that falls into that category in a weird sort of way is like the apps on your phone that you pay a monthly subscription for. And I bet a lot of people out there are paying for apps they don't even use. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've definitely signed up for something and it was whatever, $29.99 a month. And I got that first 2 weeks free, first 14 days, first 7 days, maybe even the first month for free. And I signed up for the app. I used that app for maybe 2 or 3 days, forgot about it. And next thing you know, I've got $30 a month coming out of my account. And if I'm not paying attention, that could add up. And if you have 10 of those apps, and that's $300 a month, that's a lot of money. I mean, maybe not for everybody, but that's a lot of money for me. That's a huge amount of money. So if you can really look around you and see what kind of things you need to maybe eliminate from your life financially, things will start changing. If you woke up tomorrow and didn't have that need inside to impress the neighbor, the friends, maybe even the family members, or realize those people don't care. They don't care what you're driving. They don't care what you buy. They don't care that you have the newest such and such phone. They don't care about any of that stuff, really. So focus on those basics. And then finally, there's a rule it's not like I created it, but it's called the 4% rule. And so basically, if you have a large sum of money, let's say $1 million, and you have that into a investment scenario, whether that be the stock market, let's say a piece of property that brings in rental income. So they say that 4% of that investment can be your yearly salary. So $1 million, 4% of that is $40,000 a year. And the average, I believe, is like 8 to 10% on those investments every year or over the past. In the stock market, it's done about that 8 to 10%. 10% might be a little high, but 8%. So if you're only taking 4% out, you're still making 4% on your investment. So that's where this is all going. What's the smallest amount that you can have to live the way you'd like to live? We also got to think about vacations. If you like going out of town, if you want to go travel, if you want to go to the concerts and see live music, if you want to go to say a craft show and buy art from one of the local artists, like those are all the kind of things that you need to factor into your lifestyle to know what that amount of money is. Okay, some basic numbers to think about when thinking about this sort of thing and your lifestyle. So I had to write them down. If you want to say live a very simple minimalist, which I'm kind of striving to go that way, not 100%, but I would like to live minimalist style. If you want to live on $30,000 a year, you need $750,000 in that investment account, whatever, bringing in 4%. If you want to live a little more next level, let's say $60,000 a year, only double, but that's affording a decent house and having a mortgage payment, taking several vacations a year, and so on and so forth. You would need $1.5 million in the bank. Not too out of reach or, crazy. And then finally, if you wanted to live on $120,000 a year, that's driving your really nice car, going out to restaurants maybe 2 or 3 times a week, going on all the vacations you want to go on, even longer vacations. So for $120,000 a year, you need $3 million in the bank, which still, talking about stuff today, $3 million is not a ton of money when you're talking about how many billionaires there are in the world, and like the fact that big trucks now cost over $100,000. It's so, if you're a handful of trucks away from 120,000 a year. It's a weird way to think about it. But, and then finally, I have a few questions to think about. One, put in the comments what your number is, or what you think your number is, and maybe where you want to live, because sometimes this can be affected by, I live in not a big city, but I live in a city. If I were to move outside of the city, it would be cheaper. So my number would drop just by living, let's say, 45 miles outside of my city. I also want you to put in the comments what's one thing that you can give up today that doesn't make you happy. You only thought it did. Because it's the thing that impresses the neighbor, the family member, the friends, the people on the outside that don't matter. And then my final question is, why are we not living now as if we won that sum of money? I'm trying. And I'm trying to get there. So that's my question. Why aren't we trying to do it now as a currently, and not waiting to win the lottery? Because money isn't necessarily about wealth and the amount of money you have in the bank, as opposed to the amount of time you have in your life. Thanks. Have a great day.